Jen Cruse's collection of hair ornaments is among the best in the world. Mrs. Cruse has been collecting combs and hairpins for many years now, and her pieces offer us a wide-ranging vision of human creativity. Creative Museum has asked Jen Cruse to make a selection of her favourite pieces that she has photographed and commented upon. Here is her condensed, yet most enlightening world tour. To start with, here we have an unusual modern West African comb of polished indigenous wood, the gripping handle surmounted by the athletic figure of a limbo dancer. This unusual subject suggests a commemorative item made for a specific celebration or festival, perhaps in Ghana or Nigeria, from the late 20th century. From Tanimbar in the South Moluccas, eastern Indonesia, this long wood comb has 8 decorative bone plaques carved in curvilinear patterns decorating the heading. Known as a hunter's comb, such items were used and worn by men. Now this example is a quite bizarre comb made from whalebone, with an engraved panther below the somewhat grotesque face and protruding tongue, symbolic of demons in Oriental art. Attributed to the Batak peoples of Sumatra, this large comb of split bamboo strips is secured with brass wire bindings between 2 pieces of shaped Asian hardwood handles. The teeth are further lashed together radially with brass wire in intricate rows of buttonhole-like stitching common to the region. The handle is engraved on both sides with lotus images. From Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, near the Pakistani border, this Indian ebony and silver comb is said to be a dowry item. Made in the late 19th century of Indian ebony, it is enclosed in a decorative silver casing with added chains and little bells. From Turkmen craftsmanship of northern Iran, northern Afghanistan or Turkmenistan, a double-sided buffalo horn hair comb enclosed in a silver metal casing with gilt silver decorative plaques and bezel-set carnelians and lapis lazuli, possibly a dowry item, dating to circa 1900. The shadow puppet theatre tradition is well known in Indonesia, particularly in Bali and Java, and has a long history of performing plays based on ancient legends. This wood comb depicts a wayang Kerachil puppet from Bali. Ritually worn by Orthodox Sikh men under their turbans, these ivory kanga combs are regarded as one of the 5 sacred Ks. These ones come from India and are of 20th century origin. Much more elaborate, this late 19th or early 20th century gilt silver hairpin from Sri Lanka is lavishly ornamented with local faceted moonstones in bezel settings. Sri Lankan moonstones, known as lovers' stones, are almost transparent with a bluish watery shimmer. Here is an illustration showing how this type of comb was worn. These 2 rare ivory combs, excavated from an archaeological site at West Bengal, India, date to the Sunga dynasty, 2nd to 1st century BC. The brown surface colour is due to the minerals from the environment in which the combs have lain for centuries. This late 19th to early 20th century silver comb, with bone-end teeth, is enclosed in an elaborate repoussed silver casing. It was bought in Darjeeling, northeast India. The decoration shows Tibetan-influenced motifs with conch shell, insignia of royalty and symbol of a prosperous journey, a mystic or eternal knot, the sign of longevity, and other auspicious features. From Mongolia, these 2 late 19th century silver hairpins are decorated with coral beads and coloured enamel. Hairpins were part of the lavish and complex head ornamentation worn by Mongolian women when dressed in traditional costume. This ivory comb was made during the Chinese export period, between the 1850s and 70s. The intricately pierced and fretted heading shows two cranes, for longevity, and a central bat, for happiness and longevity, all surmounted by a row of graded ball finials. From China too, here we see an ornate single tine hairpin with the head and neck of a mythical dragon carved in a light salmon pink coral. Coral was supposed to bring strength and good fortune. The hole through the neck was intended for a suspension cord or for a ribbon decoration. This piece dates from around 1900. This most unusual Chinese ivory comb depicts an image of one of the seven immortals, the god of longevity, Shu, accompanied by his little helper. He appears to be smiling with a benign gentleness. Typically, he holds the branch of a peach tree, with which he is frequently associated. We can see 3 peaches above his head and leaves down his back. Dating from the 19th century, this comb is finely carved in the round from the upper portion of an elephant's tusk. Late 19th century in China, hairpins with kingfisher feather decoration were in vogue. This one is enriched with small coral beads, pearls, and other glass gems. This low-grade silver hairpin is unusual. According to its design, it is probably Chinese, dating back to the 19th or early 20th century. The top shows the figure of a travelling musician playing an accordion, dressed in pantaloons and platform sandals, and perched on a crescent moon, the significance of which is not clear. In the tradition of the Chinese palace combs, this double-sided one is of carved wood. It takes the form of a vase, with a smaller vase of flowers included as a central theme, and is finely painted and lacquered. It dates from the late 1950s. Made for the Western export market during the mid-19th century, this Chinese ivory comb has a very intricate relief carving. It depicts 3 peonies within a ground of leafy piercing. The small plaque on the lower left exhibits a signature of the artist-designer. Another country, another style. From Jamaica, a large single-sided wig comb lavishly engraved with gold-highlighted, stylized, floriated designs on both sides. Originally, it would have been housed in a similarly decorated protective case and would have been used between 1671 and 1692. Possibly from South America, this large tortoiseshell mantilla comb has a nice, elaborately pierced openwork heading riveted to the comb component. This kind of comb was widespread throughout Europe and Argentina, where workmanship was important during the first half of the 19th century. This rich yellow clarified horn mantilla comb emulates blonde tortoiseshell. It is of either Argentinian or Uruguayan craftsmanship from the Spanish colonial period around the mid-1800s. The intricate fretwork and polished details of the heading illustrate superb attention to detail. The blue-green colour we see here was widely used in the USA, but not in Europe in the Art Deco period. This beautiful comb in celluloid is richly embellished with small paste stones and gold paint. This is another example in the same style. More recent, dating from 1970 to 75, a pair of blued steel side combs with applied 24-karat gold paint from the famous American firm Tiffany and signed T & Co. They were designed by Elsa Peretti, Chiaparelli's daughter, one of 3 noted designers working for Tiffany at that time. This stunning large art comb uses 4 tropical woods, koa from Hawaii, catalox, granadillo, and chechenin from Mexico. It incorporates a ring of ivory from a whale's tooth. It was designed and made in 1998 by the sculptor Manuel Gomez from California. Leaving America for Europe and turning back to the 19th century, we find a piece worn even today as part of a traditional costume for the annual La Fallas fiesta in Valencia, Spain. This silver gilt comb is chased with classical motifs. Foliate borders enclose two serpents snaking round a flaming urn. The arches of this gilt brass comb evoke Moorish Islamic art, and the damascened Toledo decoration is probably a Spanish work. It dates from the 1840s to 50s. This large brass mantilla comb could be Spanish as well. It dates to the late 19th or early 20th century. The intricately pierced heading in patterns of flowers and scrolls is attached to the comb element by 3 rivets. Long and large, this elaborate silver gilt hairpin, with a single zigzag or wavy tine, has an intricate filigree-like ornamental floral display applied to the flat gilt heading, the centre flower embellished with lacquered blue petals. Few people know that such dramatic hairpins were part of traditional folk costume in parts of Switzerland, Austria, Germany, and probably other Eastern European countries. They were worn across a low chignon during the 19th century. Their dimension and detail varies according to national tradition. Here is an example of croco comb design, a stylized circle of glistening green paste stones set on a pale yellow celluloid comb, somewhat asymmetrical in format. The brand name Croco, stamped into celluloid, is Swiss. The comb designer makers were located in Mumslivil in western Switzerland, and their factory was flourishing during the 1900s. Another great signature, famous in the early 1920s, is Auguste Bonnat's name. This prominent artist-designer from Oyonnax in eastern France created these celluloid combs in the Japanese fashion. Echoing the Japanese theme of the crane, he designed 2 interlocking cranes. He embellished them with gold accents and enhanced the feathers with studs. This advertisement shows what kind of hairstyle and dress this comb could be worn with. Another popular Japanese decorative motif is the plum blossom, which in this example has been designed in relief on black celluloid. These 2 last combs carry the Bonnat signature mark. In the early 1920s, Clément Joyard of Oyonnax, France, was another prominent artist comb maker. He designed this large distinctive comb in the shape of a peacock in full display. The motif is stamped from mottled tortoiseshell-like celluloid shea and carries his personal logo on the reverse. The Musée du Peigne, Oyonnax, owns an exact copy, which was made in pale yellow celluloid with the feathers realistically painted. Here is an unusual and slightly bizarre low back comb in creamy white celluloid. The central face, perhaps representing an immortal, is flanked by 2 stylized birds, possibly peacocks or crested grebes, and with 2 turquoise sets. During the Art Deco period, celluloid handbag cased combs were fashionable. This unusual one is in the form of a green butterfly. The body is painted and the head is overlaid with gold foil fragments. When it is enclosed into its case, nobody would know that it is a comb. Here is another surprising design, with this celluloid high back comb. Its central cut-out oval features a delicately carved Victorian ballroom scene. It is probably British, circa 1890 to 1910. From the 19th century, we can see a gilt brass comb with backward-leaning teeth to allow a tiara effect when placed in the coiffure. The hinged openwork heading of gold is set with garnets, emeralds, turquoises, and a central malachite cabochon. It is probably British from the 1840s to 50s. These pierced and carved ivory grooming combs date to the late 18th or early 19th century. The intricate details of the tracery feature characteristic Moorish arabesque designs. It is attributed to the florist comb makers of St James's, London, established in 1730. These long, elegant hairpins with superimposed rings are of gilded silver and embellished with faceted cut steel studs. Their impressive length suggests an early date of origin, late 18th to early 19th century, as accessories for a large coiffure. They are probably French or English. This interesting brass comb has a pierced heading and brass backing with a lustrous mottled tortoiseshell plaque held between the layers. The decorative patterns of exposed tortoiseshell are embellished with silver piqué. It dates from the late 19th century and is probably British made. A polished boar's tusk is here encased in a gilt support frame surmounted by 9 graded hollow gilt metal spheres, all attached to the tortoiseshell low back comb by a gold hinge. It's British and made between 1860 and 80. This silver comb is English and stamped with a Birmingham hallmark for 1806. The filigree heading has decorative feathers and bunches of grapes in the classical style. During the extended mourning period following the death in 1861 of the consort of Queen Victoria, Prince Albert, chignon combs made of black buffalo horn were suitable. This one has an ornamental band heading on which are set 3 cameos in the classical style. This lustrous mottled tortoiseshell high back comb is richly embellished with gold piqué point, the technique originally having been introduced to England by French Huguenot refugee craftsmen in the 18th century. It was made in England between 1850 and 70. A miniature bee jewel hinged to pale yellow horn tines makes the interest of this hairpin. The silver insect has silver wings and fine gilded silver legs and antennae. 2 clear paste stones, faceted like diamonds, decorate the body and the head. This silver hairpin, with a spider in the centre of its filigree web, is an unusual design. 2 prongs are attached to the reverse, making it a beguiling ornament for a dark coiffure under night lights or candles. It dates to the mid-20th century or earlier. A Renaissance-styled heading on this tortoiseshell low back comb comprises a decorative gilt metal band embellished with 3 prominent faceted garnets, 3 pearls, and a margin of 32 smaller garnet sets. Probably English, from 1840 to 60. Exquisitely and finely carved, this tortoiseshell comb is signed on the reverse HB. It's believed to be that of Niels Paul Hoffmann Bang, a Danish sculptor of Russian descent, working in Jamaica in the early 1920s. During the 1830s to 40s, an aigrette was an important element in the adornment of the coiffure. This floral one is particularly elegant and alternatively may be detached, converting the piece to a stunning brooch. It's formed of seed pearls sewn to mother-of-pearl backings. The pearls are all attached to copper wires and springs, giving a quivering effect when worn in the coiffure. Another ornament with a valuable jewel component. The bird decoration may be detached and converted to a brooch by means of a separate bar clasp. It is a silver and diamante swallow mounted on a mottled tortoiseshell comb with a screw fixture on the reverse. It is French or English from the 1920s. This gorgeous back comb dates from the mid-19th century. The clarified horn tines are surmounted by a row of 15 precious and semi-precious stones in a Renaissance revival style. Bezel-set amethysts underline a decorative gilded metal heading richly studded with emeralds, tourmalines, garnets, amethysts, and 2 Baroque pearls. This true jewel could be English or French. English or French, this mottled tortoiseshell comb has an applied gilt metal heading set with 3 shell cameos of female heads within small oval frames. The shell cameos originate from the Naples area in southern Italy circa 1840s to 60s. To end this short world tour, we have a gorgeous large tortoiseshell high back comb. It's intricately worked and features British national emblems and motifs of royalty. Probably English made, it appears as a commemorative comb for a coronation or royal wedding from the early to mid-1800s. Within the carved heading are 2 roses, the emblems of England, 2 thistles, Scotland, 2 shamrocks, Ireland, and Prince of Wales feathers. A rolled gold decorated crown surmounts the heading, with additional rolled gold embellishments of cross and fleur-de-lis above the tines. Jen Cruse, who was kind enough to set up this exhibition, has written an extremely well-informed book on hair ornaments, published by Robert Hale in 2007. If you want to see other combs and find out more, just buy her excellent book, a real authority in this field.